What's up, everyone? So,
Hello.
how are you guys doing? Starting soon? No, it started already. Let's get rid of this. Huh? So, guys, for those of you that are in the same time zone as we are, now it's a good evening, right? So, good afternoon for you who are a little earlier than us, and good morning for you that are way later than we are. We are QUByte in case you're here for the first time. I'm Bruno Carvalho. I'm the game designer of the game we're talking about today. It's Project Mars, and we have the rest of the team here. So please, guys, introduce yourselves. This guy here is.
I am Bellarmino, and I am one of the programmers in the game.
I'm Marcel, and I'm one of the artists.
My name is Guilherme, the gameplay programmer.
Yeah, my name is Mariana. I'm the VFX artist and character designer.
And we are with Fernando.
Yeah, we also have Fernando here with us. Say hello to the guys.
Abaixa o áudio do bloco do vídeo.
Really?
Yeah.
Hello,
Can you guys hear us all right?
Can you hear me? Hey guys,
Fernando,
I'm
can you
Fernando.
hear us all right?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can't hear Fernando, that's the problem.
Hey guys, my name is Fernando. I'm one of the level designers.
Por isso tem que baixar o som do vídeo.
A gente não consegue.
Exatamente. Okay, guys. So this is a little bit of us, but before we start, we'd like to know if okay, the music's a little loud, but now okay, can you hear us just fine? Is the streaming okay? For those of you watching from all over the globe, this is going to be an English session. For those of you watching from Brazil, you're more than welcome to stay with us. Just keep in mind that for this specific session, we'll be speaking English thoroughly, okay? Yeah? And the main goal of this session today is to talk about our latest project, which is called Project Mars 2120, right? It's a Metroidvania that we have been working on. Before we go into further details, let's see if we have people joining us here. First of all, thank you all for joining. Let me give a quick shout out to the people who have joined already. We have a private chat. This one is. So we have here with us, we have Link Xbox, we have Nintendo Space. Oh, thank you guys for joining. We have Mateus, we have Jacas. Wow, this name.
No,
Vicky, okay. Hey there. Victoria.
Hey,
We have Duolol, we have Cabral, we have Emilia. Hey there, Emilia. We have Fernando, you're here with us.
Yeah.
We have Multiverso Games and God's the Take. Oh, God's the King. Okay. Carlos Silva. Hey, yeah. Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. So, the goal of the session here, like I said, is for us to give you a little bit of insight information about Mars, right? So you're gonna see the game there. You guys can scooch over.
yeah, the camera. Oh,
What? What's this? Why? Okay. So what you're seeing on screen is a little bit of the gameplay we have for you today. A slice. This is going to be a very comprehensive slice of Mars, right? So we have the technical team here, and we want to talk about the game and any doubts you might have about the development of Mars, right? So keep them coming, guys. So before we go to your queries, Marcel, would you like to talk a little bit about the overall look and feel of the game? So what we were aiming. I know we have had the discussion with our Brazilian audience, but for all of our friends who were not in our original session.
Sure. First of all, Mars, Project Mars 2021-20. It's Metroidvania genre, and we are trying to aim in a sci-fi genre inside of it. A lot of third generation, a lot of aliens, things like that. You were seeing on the image on the side there that we are trying some dark places and some tension in the gameplay. A lot of things like that. I believe you can work a little better, can speak a little better about it.
Sure, but we also have another artist here, like Mariana. She already introduced herself. So Mariana is mainly responsible for the look of the enemies and the visual effects that you have in the game. So would you like to tell us a little bit about it? What are the challenges you have faced, and what were your inspirations for what we see here?
I'm gonna try to be the less spoilerish as I can, because of course I'm gonna leave all the surprise for you guys. But this one of the things from Mars is that you have, as you haven't seen in other trailers, that you have three powers. So you have fire, ice, and electric. And how do I tell that without spoiling too much? So while you progress in the game, you're going to unlock new skills that will aid you in solve puzzles, to beat enemies, and it's very much based in you analyze the situation and see what's going to help you, what's going to make the fight easier. So, for example, you have a nice enemy, so it's going to be easy to fight when you use fire skills on it. You have water geyser uh, in a place that you can see there's a platform up there, so you can use your ice powers, your ice gun actually, to freeze the geyser so you can jump on it. And it's all about observe your target, what you want to do, observe the environment, and see what you have in hand, or maybe you see something like a place being blocked by ice by ice wall, so you need to come back later with a firepower, for example. So you gotta have a sharp eye and pay attention in details and colors.
Okay, thank you. We also have here with us, like I said, Fernando. He's a also artist, but he's more of a level designer. He does a lot of work around the events that you see in the game. This part of the cinematic events, if I may say that. So, Fernando, can you tell us a little bit about your work with Mars, and try not to give too much away? Like
All
let us
right.
save some
Yeah.
surprises for the games, for
Sure,
the
sure.
gamers when they play the game, right?
Well, so like Bruno said, I do some of the events of the game, and I always try to make something that the player can interact with the environment, and also make it uh, that the environment responds in some way, that the player, let's say, for example, has to escape from something. Yeah, I don't want to give so many clues about, but it's basically uh, I'm working on the cinematic events. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Fernando. So we also have the guys who are responsible for the programming here. So we have Bellarmino and Guilherme here, right? So Bellarmino, can you tell us a little bit about your work in Mars?
Okay.
Not Mars, not actual planet, but Mars the game, right?
Oh, I was just about to talking about the secret spaceship I was building in Mars, but sorry, you will not hear about it. So I program mostly the bosses. Actually, I have a hand in almost every part of the game, but the bosses are the part that I put most effort, and I like to bring some inspirations from my favorite characters from pop cultures, games or not. So while you play the game, you probably will recognize some references from Destiny 2 or Attack on Titan and others. We are trying to make the bosses like a change of pace in the game. So you have the exploration and looking for ways to solve the puzzles. And when you find a boss, you have to change your mindset to discover how to beat this specific enemy. We are trying to make every boss really unique. So I hope you all remember each one of them when you play.
Yeah. And Guilherme is our like gameplay programmer, right? So Guilherme, can you tell them a little bit about your work with Mars?
Yes, right. So my work's making sure that you as a player feel good while playing it, have fun. So the controls must be nice. The whole combat must be really good, so you can feel the combos while you're doing it. Uh, and well, that's my main focus, right? So my tears that I shed during this project, just you really find it fun. So I have since it's a Metroidvania, of course, Metroid is a great inspiration as well as Castlevania. So how the move and feel of those games, how they better fit our game. So I try to make sure that the all the movements and the combat and everything that you as a player do feels really nice. So it's fun to traverse, fun to combat, and you hopefully you won't get lost too much. And that's my main focus, right? So every system of the game, the combat, the skills, everything must connect really well so that you can really have fun while playing. That's the main gist of it.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, what you see on screen, of course, is an alpha version of the game. So this is not a finished version of it. So uh, though we hope you can get like a good vibe and understand a little bit of the gameplay as you see it, just keep in mind that this is a version in development, right? So of course, for the final version, there will be improvements, but we wanted to share with you a little bit of what we have accomplished so far, And of course, this space is open for you guys. So if you have any questions, anything you'd like to know, please just let us know. We'll be more than glad to answer your questions. And of course, we have this team here and we have the technical team here because we wanted to bring our perspective, so from the entire team. Of course, we have people who are not here. Unfortunately, they had other stuff to take care of. So a big shout out to Natalia. A big shout out to Volpe. Who else? Am I missing anyone? Really? And yeah, and the overall, of course, our big shout out to our other QUByte teams. Like we have other teams that support us all the time, the marketing team and the office team, and so on. As you can see, we are actually a very small team developing this game. So we have been actively working on Mars for the past 2 years, I believe, right? 2 years or so. Almost three, yeah, 2.5 to 3 years. Uh, it's been a very challenging process, right? Because with such a I might say compact team to deal with a game of this magnitude, right? So because let us all be honest, I believe that Mars is our biggest project to date, right? We came from two projects that were fairly short in terms of duration, right? When we came from Vasara, and before that, no, 99 Vidas, right? So they were relatively short compared to this, right? And the reason for that is the scope, right? So Mars, I would say, is like maybe if we were to compare in sizes, I believe it as a project, it's like maybe 5 times what 99 Vidas was.
A little bit more.
Yeah, with a smaller team. And here's the thing: this team is actually smaller than the team that worked on 99 Vidas and Vasara. Actually, I believe this team is like
It's about
smaller than
Less than
the
half.
size of they
the
both combined, right?
Yeah, less than half of the 99 Vidas team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm very very glad for what we have accomplished so far. These guys here, they do a great job. I'm very proud of the work that they have done so far, and what we have accomplished to this point. And I know, and I hope that the final product shows the amount of love that we have for this project, and I hope you can see that, right? And again, guys, if you have any doubts, any questions,
there was
please.
one already.
There was one already, so
Up there from a few games.
scroll up. Here we have.
With the game cutscene in real time with in-game graphics or cinematics?
So very good question. So will the game cutscenes here? Yeah, this is good for. This is a very good thing about this. So will few games have? He has a question here. So will the game cutscenes be in real time with in-game graphics or cinematics?
Or render cinematics?
I believe it's a combination of both, right?
Depends.
Yeah, we're
Actually,
using
only
both.
the issue of the game have a cinematic. All the other ones are real time.
Real time.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you remember the teaser that we have released a while ago, no, it's like 2 years ago. That's the cinematic, and that's in the game. That's actually, I don't think that's a spoiler, but I believe that's the very the very first scene from the game. So that is a cinematic. All of the other cutscenes, and we do have quite a few of them that you see, are in game. So they are real-time cutscenes with in-game graphics. And you're gonna see some of them here. The one that you saw, you just saw one actually. The moment what you saw in the first segment was what we call the surface, right? And then she takes the elevator, and when she takes that, the moment you see our protagonist, she's called Charlotte, right? The moment you see her arriving, that's a real-time in-game cutscene, right? So with actual game graphics. Uh, Duologue is a very good question, yeah. So Duologue has that. So are you guys releasing on console? And he just completed better yet. Is the game coming to consoles? Yes, actually, we are aiming to have Mars 2120 available on release on PC, and that would be both Steam and Epic Store. Also console, so current gen and legacy gen as well. So we are talking about PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series, and also Switch, right? So our plan is to have a global release and possibly simultaneous release on all consoles. Yeah. Any more questions, guys? Also, it's very important. We have something here for you. Don't forget to add Mars to your wish list on Steam, right? But then you ask me, Bruno, why should I add that to my wish list? I'm not playing it on PC. No problem. The reason for you to add the game to your wish list is so you keep up to date with the latest info we have for the game, right? And you also help us measure the interest you have in the game. So, okay, I'm interested in the game. Let me know more about it. The way you have to show us is, of course, going to our social media, to QUByte Game social media, but also adding the game to your wish list, right? And maybe, who knows, we can think of something. Maybe if you show enough interest, maybe we could get like early access. I don't know. Just throwing ideas here, okay? An open beta? Maybe. Let's see. We have to see if people would like to play the game. So the way you guys have to show us is by adding to your wish list on Steam, okay? And spread the word, of course, right? What difficulty levels will the game have available? Very good question, and I will answer that. And Gilex, I know you're smiling right behind me, like with a grin in your face. More than difficulty, we are thinking about accessibility, right? Because games these days they're all about accessibility, not necessarily difficulty levels, but the way that the game adapts to you, the gamer, right? And I can tell you that we are going to offer several accessibility options that will make the experience maybe easier or harder for you according to your expectation, right? So, in the sense that we are going to have options to maybe provide an easier experience for someone who just wants to go through the game and experience the story in it. And yes, there is a story element to it, of course. But also for someone who's looking for a bigger challenge, we will have settings that will make the game more challenging for you combat wise. We'll have options that will make navigation easier for you. So we don't talk about difficulty here. We are talking about accessibility, which is like something that games these days are more concerned with, and we are aligned with that, right? So yes, definitely you can expect all sorts of settings that will make your experience either easier or harder according to the way you like to play. We like to give the player the choice, right? So this is going to be reflected in the game, definitely. Do we have any other question here? Gus is asking here. And if I'm not mistaken, Gus is our marketing guy. So will a demo be released for the
Yeah,
public
customer.
soon? Yeah. So will there be a demo for the public soon? This is something that we are considering. We of course have like versions, beta versions. We are moving away from what we call alpha to beta, and it's a possibility. But again, the way for you to let us know if you'd like to play the game is adding that to our wish list. So back to our wish list. If you want to show us you would like to see a beta, or maybe again in early access, let us know through your wish list. Add us to your wish list on Steam. Okay, Bruno, I don't want to play the game on Steam. I'll have it on consoles. No problem. Add to your wish list and you'll keep up to date with the latest info. Bruno, I don't want to play your game at all. No problem. Go ahead and add it to your wish list. Okay? Okay. So few games has a good question. If I understand correctly, it will have a well-paced learning curve like the old games. Yeah. We have what we call like the standard. The standard experience is going towards that. So you're gonna progressively be exposed to the systems in the game, so you'll get used to it, like games used to be. But we also have added what we call the accessibility options. So if someone is even if we have the experience that is planned, like to be progressively accessible, people find that okay, no, this is too hard for me. They can adjust the accessibility settings, and that will make the experience better for them. We want the like this. We don't want to make a game that only a few people play. We want to give the player the choice so they can play a harder game if they like. They can experience the game in an easier way if they want to experience the story in it. So it's all about choice, right? We here at QUByte we value choice, right? Gamer choice, right? So you have the choice, and we believe that the best way to do that is through accessibility options. Yeah. So definitely you're gonna find an experience for you. I'll have to talk to the guys later because some of the accessibility options is gonna make the game even, if I may say that, not more accessible, but maybe you can play an entirely different game based on your selections when it comes to accessibility. Maybe your Metroidvania could be more Souls-like, depending on what you choose. Gilex has as
Maybe.
maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows, right? Yeah, that's as well. Yeah, of course. Marina brought a very important point here, right? Uh, Accessibility is not only about how difficult a game will be when it comes to like gameplay, but also about accessibility to people who have certain specific needs, right? So yes, we will be offering support to colorblind modes, right? We will also be providing supports to. I don't know if I may say that because I'm gonna give too much away, but for subtitles as well. So you can modify those and several options. And the reason I'm talking about subtitles, I think I believe we have mentioned that already, and it's okay to say that now. The way that we want to share the story of the game with you is through what we call, uh, of course, there is what we call uh, storytelling, but it's not in the sense that you would expect someone is telling you, like there's no narrator. But we do have our way of telling you the story, and the way we found is through audio logs, right? So our protagonist Charlotte is there for the first time, right? She actually has responded a call from the Martian colony because something was happening there, and you as the gamer is experiencing that for the first time with her, right? And the way for you to learn what's going on in there is through the audio logs that you find from people who used to live at the colony, right? And that's how you're going to be exposed and you're going to understand what happened, what led the colony to the state you find it when you first arrive, right? Certinho em cima. Ah, isso, okay.
The Leonhardt, what makes Mars different from other Metroidvanias?
Ah, okay. There's a very good question here for Ramza Leonhardt, right? What makes Mars different from other Metroidvanias? Very good question, and thank you for asking that. Uh, I believe that, first of all, we try to approach the game from a perspective that we have not seen that many over across the years, right? So we do see Metroidvanias being reflected a lot in uh, fantasy worlds like Castlevania, pretty much. We have Metroid itself, that is a lot of science fiction, but with a different, how can I say, setting, right? We wanted to bring something that is more relatable to us because these days we have been talking about like, okay, human beings are when are we gonna have the first manned mission to Mars, right? Because we have now commercial flights to outer space, right? We have colonization is something that is a discussion when we will be arriving on other planets, and this is something that we wanted to bring in the game, but also that the way that the game plays, and that's a big part of it because as you can see, not only yeah, so not only we have a more standard gameplay when it comes to ranged combat because you have a gun, right? But we also have
The gun, then you have the
exactly. We also have integrated into the gameplay melee combat, right? So when we have melee combat, we're talking about combos, and the way we approach that is something similar to what a fighting game is. I'll give you a little bit of info in there. We also have like fighting game inputs. So if you try, I don't know, maybe your Hadoukens, you may find something there, right? And so we wanted to create an experience that was both, or that would work both with ranged combat, but also with melee. So in a sense, we got inspiration from games like we said, Metroid, but also Guacamelee, right? Which is a great example of a Metroidvania with melee combat, and we combine them into one single combat system that will actually tests you in your skills when it comes to you have to define when to best use those. On top of that, we also have added something that is a bit of how can I say that is a bit of our special touch because if you follow QUByte games, you see that most of our games have a certain elements to it that's called actually the elements, right? So our previous beat 'em up had like elemental powers such as fire and ice, and this is something you see here. It's a big inspiration from games like Infamous, for instance, where you use those both as traversal. So to overcome challenges, to solve puzzles, you use those powers, but you also use those during combat, right? So I believe that's what makes Mars so unique. But you guys, do you have any other? I'm speaking too much. You guys say what makes Mars unique for you guys?
As you really said, the mix between ranged combat and melee combat. On top of that, we have some those skills, and they are both for combat and for traversal. And that mix, we are trying to balance it so that you're not always using just ranges and not always just using the melee combos, and that's that's the main gameplay part of the game, right? So that's what you're balancing so that the players you see that it's not just a point and shoot and not just a combo fest, right? So that's something we are aiming, and also I can talk about the memorable moments, right? So there are a lot of memorable moments that we are trying to achieve in the game, both from the combat standpoint, but also from our cinematics and our bosses, our effects, all of that are
Fighting
combining.
mechanics.
Yeah,
And all this stuff.
Yeah, I think
that are combining to make the game unique.
Go ahead,
this.
Fernando. Were you saying something?
All right. Yeah. I just wanted to say that I think that something that also uh, makes Mars different from other games is this kind of cinematics of cinematic. Just a moment. Is this cinematic settings that we have in some parts of the game that is not so common on Metroidvanias. So we have like escaping parts uh, that are not so common.
Who else?
I think I can say what I think is more unique in the game without spoiler about everything because the spoiler parts are to me the best ones. But I can say the history of the game. It's something that I never seen in other Metroidvanias, but I will not tell you about it. You have to play and pay attention to the audio logs and the scenario to understand what is going on.
Well, I can say something about your work, right? So these guys here pretty much did a great job, and Fernando as well when it comes to the look and feel of the combats against the bosses, you know, because the boss is a big combination of the gameplay and the boss's configuration, but also the environment that we have, and this is something that Fernando assisted as well, and Volpe as well, and also Mari on the overall visuals and the effects that we mentioned already. But what I can tell you is this: we try to bring like boss battles to a different level when it comes to not only the way you're going to approach each of these bosses is going to be very different from one another, but also the feeling. I believe that Bellarmino has already said that, right? We wanted the game to feel like something entirely different when you approach a boss, right? And each boss, we have bosses that are very unique. We have like inspirations all over the place when it comes to bosses, right? I may quote a few, like we have like influences from the games ranging from like Shadow of the Colossus going to Golden Axe, for instance, just so you know the range we are speaking of here, right? And I believe that's going to show, and I do hope you see that in the final version of the game, which actually brings us to another question from few games, which is the replay factor present in the campaign time in average? Okay, so yes, like I said, the way that we are approaching accessibility options will allow you as a gamer to perform multiple playthroughs in different ways on the game. And we are also planning a new game plus mode, right? And I would say that the campaign in average for a first playthrough, I would say it's something along the line of 6 to 8 hours.
6 to 8 hours.
6 to 8 hours.
Depending on how much you're up to, like backtracking.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a big thing, right? Of course, like several Metroidvanias, we do have like free exploration, and don't see that with bad eyes because we give you options to like backtrack if you'd like, but you also don't need to. We have options for you that may not require you to follow a specific path. This is something that is very important. Without giving too much away, we can tell you that uh, the way we are approaching here is that we want to give the player not only free exploration in the sense that, oh, you can reach that same place in different ways, but also the way that the game plays is going to depend on the way you want to explore the game, in the sense that even the bosses you challenge, they may come in different at different times during your playthrough, without giving too much away. I'll say something like this: it's a little bit of like playing Mega Man, right?
And your experience in the boss fight can change according to how much you explore.
Exactly. That's like as we were saying about the Mega Man experiences, in which you can face certain bosses in different orders, and also, like Mari said, when you acquire upgrades, when you go to a certain boss, if you have those or not, is going to change the way that battle plays out.
Yeah, there's not one way to do
Yeah.
the thing.
That same freedom that we mentioned for the player to choose the way they want to play the game, yeah, that also applies to the game when it comes to boss battles, right? So there's not one way to face a specific boss. You can find your way of defeating a boss, right?
That also plays on creativity and also observation,
Yeah.
your observation skills, and like I said, have patience to backtrack or curiosity to keep exploring in these other stuff.
Yeah. We also have a question here. So our friends from Cinema con Rapadura, hey guys, thank you. So congratulations, friends of QUByte, for the game. A question: how did you work on the game's physics? That's a very good question. You can see that the enemies have differences in weight in combat. And just before you guys who did the programming talk about it, this is something that we wanted from the start, right? We wanted the enemies to feel unique in the sense that you have lighter enemies that will respond to the combos in a certain way, to the attacks in another way, and heavier enemies. So we have a range of enemy types, and not only that, there are several other alignments that come into play when you face enemies. But tell us a little bit about the physics that go into it.
Yeah, talking just about the physics, right? So it's a custom physics. The combat happens in a almost a separated world. Let's say like that.
Different layer.
Yeah. It's a custom layer of physics
It's-
that's applied.
The combat is in another level.
Yeah, another level.
Yeah.
So that we can have that fine controls, and you can tune each enemy as we like it. So and it of course, and it makes sense in the combat. So heavy enemies won't be affected as much from some attacks.
Yeah.
Lighter enemies will be launched easier to the air. Skills might affect enemies in different ways. So the physics is really custom. It's finely tuned for each enemy. Always have its own physics, almost like that. And of course, the player physics is of course custom tuned so that it plays well with the whole combat and the whole game. I think that. Do you have anything about to say about boss physics?
So much to say.
Yeah, I know that.
Uh, the boss's physics really use this custom physics because we have bosses there that are flying, bosses that are on the roof, on the walls. The bosses came from every side. So we had to work it really hard on this custom physics system to make it work for to have, for example, custom gravity for some enemies, and nothing of this would be possible without this guy. This guy saved the physics of the game. Without him, the bosses that walk on the walls would not work. Because I really needed his help, and he helped a lot.
Okay, so we have another question here. So, can you tell more about the main character design? What were the inspirations? That's a very good question because the game has been development for the past 2 to 3 years, but I believe the early concepts of Mars, I believe the initial draft, we had it in 2017, so it's like 5 years. And but like from the very early stages of concept, we knew that we wanted to have like a female protagonist, right? We wanted to have Charlotte as our protagonist there.
With a scar.
Oh yeah, the scarf is this is non-negotiable. There must always be a scarf, right? This is another of our like staples, right? So whenever we think of a QUByte game, there will always be someone wearing a scarf. so
Yeah.
so yeah, so from the
Yeah.
very early stages, we knew that we wanted to have Charlotte. We knew we wanted to have her as a very strong woman, because she has this background that you're gonna find out about in the game. Uh, and of course, we wanted that to show that we are in a future that is somewhat distant, but not that distant. So something that you could imagine like within a few years. And the design for the armor, of course, we had great inspiration uh, from Metroid in the sense that you have different levels of armors, right? So what you're seeing there is what we call armor level 1, right? Because we
That's
have
one.
we have level 0 and level 2, and this is something that uh, I believe is the first time.
Zero is her suit,
Yeah, so
and then two is a more heavier armor. Two, no, one, sorry. It's a heavier armor, and then there's, can I say?
2,
Yeah.
or you want to say that other?
Yeah, there's
That
five.
other, yeah, there's
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
something else,
Yeah.
right? But the way we wanted that to play out, as you can see, is that as you lose health points, you actually lose part of your armor. So it's like you're losing protection because of the damage you're taking, right? So you're gonna see that as the game progresses and you take damage, you just saw that scene. She's gonna lose part of her armor, and she will also gain parts of her armor as she evolves during the game, right? To the point that let me try to say what you're trying to say without saying giving away too much. She can excel the limitations of her armor, right? She becomes so powerful at a certain point
Yeah, guys, just
that
take a look on the stream to you understand.
yeah.
Top just try maybe a bit more technical in her design.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. You want to give some technical details? Yeah, that's why we're here.
There were some of my inputs on her design. This like, especially the scarf was really interesting to design because it's one of it's called attention. Like it's a always in characters a scarf will always calls attention. So one of the ideas is that without relying too much in the UI where you keep paying attention. So you can see that her armor changes the neon colors according to the core that's currently keep it. So that's how I would say most of her visual powers and were inspired by my side of the concept art. Were inspired on Devil May Cry, the Devil May Cry franchise, and a little bit in Guild Wars 2, more exactly the Elementalist class. My- And so without having too much, without you have to move your eyes to pay attention to head on, oh, well, what am I keeping right now? So you just take a look in your own character. For example, you're fighting fire enemy and you're like hitting him and it's, I don't know, it's not doing damage. So if you take a look in your armor, you're gonna see like you're on fire. You don't have to like, oh, which one I'm gonna keep it, like looking the HUD. Like it's something to be very dynamic to you, like just if a glimpse on your character where your eyes are focused, so you know what you're keeping, so you can take a quick action to change your strategy without having to take your eyes from the fight. So you just by changing the course, you don't have to rely too much in pay attention in the UI, or more like uh, to keep you focused in what you're doing without helping you keep the pace of the fight mostly.
Thank you, Mars. So we have a question here. Link Xbox. I would like to know when there will be a sequel to
Wow.
Project Colonies.
Oh my
Well, let's
god.
first release this game,
Yeah.
and then maybe if you guys played enough and tell us, yeah, we like this game, we can work on a sequel. But yeah, we are actually focused on finishing this one right now, right? But I really appreciate your enthusiasm, right?
A few games also asked something similar, and
Wishlist.
yeah, this time
Exactly.
close. But let's finish Mars first. Then we can go to other planets, right?
Yeah. But keep in mind that QUByte is always working on new games. So of course, after we finish Mars, we'll be already dedicated to another project, and then the following. And maybe, like I said, who knows? If you add the game enough to your wish list, and then when the game releases, your answer is like playing the game. If you like the game and you played enough, of course, if there is the demand for that, we will be more than glad to work on a sequel. And that actually brings us to another question that is along those lines. That is, few games has asked, and was the plot thought to be a closed story or with possibilities of becoming a franchise? So the way that we have created the story in Mars, if you think about the title, just think about the title. It's Project Colonies, Mars, right? So Mars is the first exactly
Colonies.
colonies. So Mars is one of those colonies, right? So if you guys like the game, of course, we have many other planets to visit, right?
Wishlist.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but just to answer to that, of course, you have a story arc that actually closes as the game is over, but there is possibility of more stories in this universe that we have created, right? And like we said, the title says it all. Project Colonies. Mars is just one of those, right? But right now, like I said, we are focusing on this. We are focused on Mars. Yeah, life on Mars. Yeah.
Few games also asked about co-op.
Yeah. So, was it considered at some point in development to implement a co-op mode? I'm a big fan of co-op, right? So, couch co-op mainly. But the story that we wanted to tell with this game at this point is a solo campaign because it's the story of this specific survivor, right? So Charlotte. But maybe who knows? Again, if you let us know you like the game, and this is something that we have great examples of games that have evolved with time, right? So if the response from the community is positive, we can keep it, yeah, like iterating the game, right? We have a very good example in Dead Cells. Dead Cells nowadays is a game that They have so many updates and it's such a great experience. I'll tell you what, if we find a community as dedicated as the Dead Cells community is to Mars, I can guarantee we're gonna have way more content for Mars. Yeah.
Fit speedruns there.
Yeah.
This is it.
Let me ask you guys something before we continue with the questions here. So, which moment to this point of the game you think is going to be the most special? Is going to be the most special to people watching us, without giving too much details. But what do you believe is going to be like the like a moment that is going to make people go, okay, I like that.
Personally,
No.
The verb.
Okay.
The verb.
The bird.
The bird.
The bird.
verb,
Okay.
lines.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of moments like this. I will not talk about the bosses because I really love them, and
Yeah.
if I start, I will not finish. But I think there is a moment with a building. I can talk about it.
If you don't give too much
Especially
details.
Let's just talk about that. There's a moment
Can
of
you try to speak in
exploration.
general terms?
We have these cinematic moments, and they are all really great. But this one in this building is my favorite until now, and I think people will remember it forever.
Okay, good.
I must say that I like most of the bosses.
Yeah,
the,
the bosses.
the final bosses, the three final bosses are just epic.
Okay. Marcel?
I believe you like when you launch the game.
What about you, Fernando?
Well, I think you guys will love a moment in a laboratory that I cannot talk so much about, but it's a very cool cinematic sequence. That sequence.
Okay. Yeah. I believe that uh, to me, the most special. I agree a little bit with Marcel actually. Not in the sense of releasing the game, but for us, but especially for me, it's gonna be a very special moment when people get to play it for the first time. But the moment that I think gamers will like, uh, I think that the very first moment they'll go, wow, is like it's difficult because we have so many cinematic moments, like. But I really like the ending of the game, to be quite honest. I'll tell you something. I'll give up a little piece of information here that is very important. Of course, I don't know if you guys know out there, but we are a Brazilian studio, right? So uh, we are very proud to bring our experiences to people not only here in Latin America but all over the globe. And we wanted to let you know that right off the bat, our game will offer support to multiple languages, at least three as of right now, being Portuguese, Spanish, and English. And that's going to be both like in written text, but also in audio. So we're going to have audio in multiple languages. So far, the ones we have accomplished are English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And of course, we're studying the possibility of adding more, the technical aspects of it, right? Uh, and I believe that if I can give a little bit of advice, if possible, try to play the game in more than one languages. I have a special special keen for the Spanish version, and I think I might cry when I see the end of the game in Spanish because it's amazing. It's just the acting is just amazing, really, really. In Spanish, it's something else entirely. But really, the ending of the game, I believe, all of the action taken to the final moments, but like the closure of the game is going to be something very special. Yeah. And I hope people find that too, right? Just to bring one last question here, guys, and I believe that, and I believe this one is important because it's a challenge. So, can you challenge? Can you share a little bit of your experience moving from a game like 99 Vidas to Mars built on Unreal Engine 4? And this is something very important, right? Because we are developing Mars using Unreal Engine, right? And this is something that we wanted to do because we wanted the game to be very different from our previous projects. Like we said, we have brought products like 99 Vidas and Vasara. Uh, 99 Vidas is like a 16-bit esque beat 'em up. Vasara is a collection of classic shoot 'em ups, but also we have a brand new version in there. It's called Endless, right? Vasara Endless, and that is already 3D. But we wanted to take the next step and bring something that we haven't done before, and that's why we decided to go with Unreal Engine for Mars. And to be quite honest, that's very challenging when like even in something this is something that people may not know. Originally the very first version, a prototype of Mars we had, was actually developed using Unity, not Unreal Engine, right? Using a series of standard assets, and it took us a long way to this point, to this version of the game running on Unreal Engine. But I'll let these guys, because these guys are way more hands-on with Unreal Engine than I am, talk about that. So, guys, tell us a little bit of the challenges. And this is good because Gilex right here, Guilherme, has worked like on 99 Vidas, on Vasara, and now Mars.
Yeah.
Mariana has joined us and worked with Vasara and Mars. And Bellarmino has the experience of just working with Mars, so you can give us a view of how it is to approach this project just using Unreal, right? So, and Marcel has been here forever. So Fernando has joined us for Mars as well. So let us start with like you guys, Gilex and Marcel. Can you tell us a little bit because you were here for longer?
Well, from the programming side, it was a big undertaking because it's a completely different engine, but it's different. Okay, I know people like to ask which one is better, but it's just different. Okay.
No better, no worse, just different.
Each one has its pros and cons. So but working with Unreal was a good challenge. It was really interesting and I learned a lot. But I was also able to I believe I was able to bring what I can do best, and I hope that the gameplay shows it.
Well, I can say that we did a lot of games in Unity, and I agree 100% with Guilherme that says that no one is better than other. They're just different. And the projects are different for itself. It's very different projects, Nine Vidas and Vasara and now Mars. There are three very different projects, very different approaches. And I can say that we have to learn and invent new ways to make things, to solve problems that it's independent of the engine. We are not engine fanboys here, not at all. We work with a lot of them, but it's been a great experience working with Unreal Engine 4. And but the most satisfying thing to do is to invent new things to do, invent new solutions for the problems that appears to us. That's the real secret for making games, actually. It's not the engine, it's not the 3D program, it's not the language, it's how you solve problems. And that's what we love to do. And we hope that you like as well. So that's it.
Yeah. Mari, can you give us a little bit of your take in it?
They said everything.
Might
They
sound
said
weird.
everything. I have not much to add, but it's the same thing about art. Like every engine works its own way. So, like Marcel said, it's like we get the challenge and we have to solve it with the tools we have.
Yeah.
And which engine works its own way. So I worked in some of the shaders and VFX on Basara, the 3D version, and now I'm working on Mars as well, and they work completely different. Like the way you have to think with one engine is different with the other, but that's all about focus in what we want to do and reach with this tool we have. What those tools have to offer, so we can use it all their potential to get the results we want. We want to give to you guys.
Okay. Guillermino?
I believe the engines are the tools that we use to make games and to make ourselves too, because every time I learn a new engine and learn to work on this new engine, I can use this new knowledge to improve my abilities on the other engines. So it's really important to do not get locked in just one. You have to learn them and see how each one of them are beautiful on his own way.
Yeah, the theory might be the same concept-wise, but the practice is changed completely. It just adds way more to you as a game developer.
And I also think it's about what kind of games you want to make, right? Because certain engines
Yeah.
they may be more accessible when it comes to a certain type of game. So it all depends on the kind of experience you want to build, right? But in the end, I don't think that the engine should be what
The
the
focal point.
the focal point
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they should be a tool that we use to achieve that. But I want to hear from Fernando because we have a very interesting take from Fernando because Fernando works with Unreal not just for Mars, but he also has his own game in Unreal Engine, right? So how is it for you, Fernando? How is it for you to work like on have already worked on your game and now move to a different project, which a different style, right? Because it's entirely different gameplay, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, well, I think that Unreal Engine is kind of a friendly engine to use, uh, and as you said, it was a totally different game. My game was a first-person horror game, and this one is a 2.5D. Uh, and yeah, I had to learn a lot uh, to make the to work on this game the way I work. And like the guy said, it's like a challenge. So it's not about the engine, but also the challenge. For me, it was it. For me, I personally like Unreal Engine, and it's the one that I best know how to use. So for me, it was a good choice. I also think that by now, Unreal Engine is one of the engines that can access to higher graphics. Like with you can do very good graphics in other engines, but I think that Unreal kind of makes the process easier in some way.
Yeah. Well, guys, I believe that's a wrap. I believe that's all we had for you today. But before we go, let me thank you all for being here with us. Thank you for sharing these moments. So we know that you guys all lead a busy life. Yeah.
You know,
Shout out Skiing Part 9.
Yeah.
why not?
So who knows, right? But thank you very much for joining us. I hope you had a great time here with us. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you actually during this presentation that helped you increase your interest. And if you really would like to help us, and if you'd like to help the way that Mars is progressing, we would be really, really thankful if you could add our game to your wish list. So again, the link
Wishlist.
yeah, the link is down here, right? So the way you have of letting your voices be heard by us that, okay, we want Mars, we want a sequel. Before we release the sequel, we need to know if you want this version. And if you want this version, please go ahead and add it to your wish list. If you could, we would love if you could please share that with your friends, your followers, your community. Talk to I don't know, your friends during, I don't know, a coffee break or something like that. Let them know that Mars is happening, and we hope to release the game very soon. And again, if you wish list, that's the best way for you to get the latest info about the game, right? And stay tuned because we have live events like these every week. So in English, it's going to be every other week. So what we do is we alternate between English and Portuguese live. So this week is English, next week Portuguese, the following one is English again. So every 2 weeks, one language or the other, right? But we are trying to hold these regular lives so you guys can get to know a little bit of what we do. We also do porting of several games, so we have released like more than 80 games across multiple consoles. So we have been in this industry for like the past 12 to 13 years, and it's been a pleasure to serve you guys with that because we make games with love and passion because we are avid gamers. So we make games that in the end we hope you guys are proud to play, right? So in the end, what we do is actually hope that you guys find the love we have in games reflected in our games. Okay. Uh, Thank you once again. You guys would like to say any last words before we go?
Thanks, and wish list, please.
Yeah.
Wish list. You have to wish list 5 times for which one of us.
Okay, so guys, yeah, that's it. Fernando, you want to say
Yeah.
some last
No.
words?
Yeah, that's it. That's
The
it.
live, please.
And remember to wish list on Steam.
Okay, so thank you. See you guys next session. Take care. Don't forget to wish list. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Don't forget to follow us on social network.